He invented the modern criminal empire and made crime look like business before anyone knew what hit them. If you love stories about power, greed, and the men who built empires in the shadows of Wall Street, make sure to follow, because this story rewrites everything you think you know about organized crime in America. New York City, November 4th, 1928, 10:47 p.m. A man walks into room 349 at the Park Central Hotel on 7th Avenue. His name is Arnold Rothstein. He wears a gray suit, a fedora, and carries no weapon. 3 men are already inside. No one speaks. Rothstein sits down. A card game has been arranged, but there are no cards on the table. One of the men stands. His hand moves to his coat. A single gunshot. Rothstein stumbles backward, clutching his stomach. He walks out of the room, down the service stairs, and onto the street. A patrol officer finds him leaning against a building on 56th Street. The officer asks who shot him. Rothstein says nothing. He is taken to Polyclinic Hospital. 2 days later, he dies. He is 46 years old. Arnold Rothstein is born on January 17, 1882, on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. His father, Abraham Rothstein, is a respected Jewish businessman and community leader. His mother keeps a strict household. Arnold is the second of 5 children. He learns to read early. He learns to count faster. By age 12, he's running dice games in the alleys behind his school. His father catches him once and beats him. Arnold runs the games again the next week. At 16, Rothstein drops out of school. He moves into a boarding house on the Lower East Side. He works as a traveling salesman for a few months, then quits. He begins playing poker in basement rooms and back alley clubs. He wins consistently, not always by luck. He learns to read faces, control breathing, and spot marked cards. By 18, he owns a small pool hall on West 46th Street. By 20, he is known in every gambling den between the Bowery and Hell's Kitchen. In 1909, Rothstein marries Carolyn Green, a showgirl and actress. She is beautiful, ambitious, and comes from money. The marriage gives Rothstein access to upper-class social circles. He opens a casino in a townhouse on West 57th Street. The operation is elegant. Velvet curtains, crystal chandeliers, waiters in tuxedos, police captains and Tammany Hall politicians gamble there. Rothstein does not cheat them. He does not need to. The house always wins. By 1912, he is clearing $50,000 a month. Rothstein begins lending money to gamblers, bookies, and small-time criminals. He charges interest. High interest. He keeps detailed records in leather-bound ledgers. Every debt is documented. Every payment is tracked. He hires collectors, not thugs, accountants with muscle. If someone does not pay, they are visited twice. The first time is a conversation. The second time is not. In 1914, Rothstein meets Charles Lucky Luciano, a young Sicilian immigrant from the Lower East Side. Luciano is 19, hungry, and smart. Rothstein sees potential. He loans Luciano money to start a heroin distribution network. Luciano pays him back in 6 months. Rothstein loans him more. He does the same for Meyer Lansky, a Jewish kid from the Bronx with a gift for numbers, and for Frank Costello, a smooth-talking Italian who knows every cop in Midtown. Rothstein becomes the bank, the mentor, the invisible hand. In 1919, the Chicago White Sox play the Cincinnati Reds in the World Series. The Sox are heavily favored. Rothstein is approached by a gambler named Joseph Sport Sullivan. Sullivan says several White Sox players are willing to throw the series for money. Rothstein listens. He does not commit. He tells Sullivan to come back with details. Sullivan returns with 8 names: first baseman Chick Gandil, pitcher Eddie Cicotte, outfielder shoeless Joe Jackson. Rothstein agrees to finance the fix. He does not bet directly. He uses intermediaries in cities across the country: Boston, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, St. Louis. The bets are placed in small amounts, spread across dozens of bookmakers. The Sox lose the series. Rothstein makes between $300,000 and $4 million. The exact number is never confirmed. The scandal breaks in September 1920. A grand jury is convened in Chicago. Rothstein is called to testify. He arrives in a tailored suit and speaks calmly. He denies involvement. He provides no documents. He names no names. The prosecutors have no evidence. He is dismissed. 8 White Sox players are banned from baseball for life. Rothstein walks free. His reputation grows. On January 16, 1920, the 18th Amendment takes effect. The manufacture, sale, and transportation of alcohol is now illegal in the United States. Rothstein sees the opportunity immediately. He does not open speakeasies or run trucks. He finances them. He fronts money to bootleggers in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. He arranges for shipments of Canadian whiskey to be smuggled across the border. He pays customs officials, Coast Guard officers, and port inspectors. He sets up a system, a structure, a business model. Rothstein establishes bank accounts under false names. He registers shell companies in Delaware and New Jersey. He buys legitimate businesses, car dealerships, theaters, real estate firms, and runs illegal cash through them. The money comes in dirty. It leaves clean. He is the first to do this on a large scale. The first to treat crime like a corporation. The mob bosses watch and learn. By 1922, Rothstein controls over 20 gambling houses, a dozen speakeasies, and a network of protection rackets across Manhattan. He owns racehorses. He owns nightclubs. He owns politicians. His lawyer is William J. Fallon, one of the best defense attorneys in New York. His accountant is a man named Otto Berman, who later works for Dutch Schultz. Rothstein never carries a gun. He does not need to. He has men for that. He moves into a penthouse apartment at 912 Fifth Avenue. He wears custom suits from London. He drinks only imported wine. He is polite, soft-spoken, and never raises his voice. At night, he plays poker with stockbrokers, judges, and Broadway producers. He wins most of the time. When he loses, he pays immediately. His word is his bond. That is his power. In 1923, Rothstein meets a young gambler named George McManus. McManus is loud, reckless, and deep in debt. He owes money to several bookmakers. Rothstein buys the debts. McManus now owes Rothstein. Rothstein keeps him close, not as a friend. As leverage, Rothstein begins investing in the drug trade. He finances shipments of heroin and cocaine from Europe. The drugs arrive in New York through the docks. Longshoremen are paid to look the other way. Customs officials are paid more. Rothstein does not touch the product. He does not meet the dealers. He simply provides the capital and takes a percentage. His partners include Luciano Lansky and a Corsican smuggler named Paul Carbone. The operation runs smoothly for 5 years. In 1925, Rothstein is introduced to a young labor organizer named Louis Lepke Buchalter. Buchalter controls several garment workers' unions in the Lower East Side. Rothstein sees another opportunity. He loans Buchalter money to expand his operation. Together, they establish a protection racket targeting garment factories. Factory owners pay a weekly fee. In exchange, their shops are not vandalized. Their workers do not strike. If an owner refuses, his delivery trucks are burned. His windows are smashed. Most owners pay. Rothstein also moves into the bail bond business. When criminals are arrested, they need cash to post bail. Rothstein provides it for a fee. He partners with bondsmen across the city. The system is simple. A man is arrested. A bondsman calls Rothstein. Rothstein wires the money. The man is released. If the man skips bail, Rothstein sends someone to find him. The bondsman never loses money. Rothstein never loses money. By 1926, Rothstein is worth an estimated $10 million. He owns property in Manhattan, Miami, and Saratoga Springs. He owns stock in legitimate corporations. He has accounts in banks across the country. He files taxes. He pays lawyers. He is never arrested for a serious crime, but his gambling worsens. In September 1928, Rothstein sits in a high-stakes poker game at the apartment of Jimmy Meehan, a bookmaker. The game lasts 3 days. Players include McManus, Meyer Boston, and several wealthy businessmen. Rothstein loses heavily. By the end of the game, he is down over $320,000. He refuses to pay. He claims the game was rigged. The other players are furious. McManus demands payment. Rothstein tells him to wait. Rothstein does not pay. Weeks pass. McManus grows desperate. He owes money to the other players. He owes money to Rothstein. He is trapped. On November 4, 1928, McManus calls Rothstein. He asks to meet at the Park Central Hotel. Rothstein agrees. Rothstein arrives at 10:47 p.m. He takes the elevator to the 3rd floor. He walks to room 349. McManus is inside. So are 2 other men. Their names are never confirmed. Rothstein enters. The door closes. Voices are heard. Then a gunshot. Rothstein walks out, bleeding from the abdomen. He takes the service stairs to the street. A patrol officer, William Davis, finds him at 10:50 p.m. Davis asks what happened. Rothstein says, "I won't talk. Get me a cab." He is taken to Polyclinic Hospital on West 50th Street. Detectives arrive at the hospital within the hour. Rothstein is conscious but pale. He is asked who shot him. He refuses to answer. He is asked where he was shot. He says nowhere. He is asked if it was McManus. He says nothing. Police search room 349. They find no gun. No blood, no fingerprints. The room has been cleaned. Rothstein undergoes surgery. The bullet has perforated his intestines. Infection sets in. On November 5th, his condition worsens. His wife, Carolyn, is called to the hospital. She sits by his bed. Rothstein remains silent. Police try again. He will not speak. On November 6th, at 10:15 a.m., Arnold Rothstein dies. The funeral is held on November 7th at the Riverside Memorial Chapel on Amsterdam Avenue. Over 2,000 people attend. Gangsters, politicians, actors, judges. Frank Costello is there. Meyer Lansky is there. Lucky Luciano is there. Police photograph everyone entering the building. The casket is closed. Rothstein is buried in Union Field Cemetery in Queens. George McManus is arrested on November 26, 1928. He is charged with murder. The trial begins in November 1929. The prosecution has no weapon, no witnesses, no confession. The defense argues McManus was not in the room when the shot was fired. On December 5, 1929, the jury deliberates for 90 minutes. McManus is acquitted. No one else is ever charged. The identity of the shooter is never confirmed. Some believe it was McManus. Others believe it was a hired gun. Some believe Rothstein was shot by someone he owed money to. The case remains unsolved. Rothstein's estate is valued at over $2 million. His debts total over $300,000. His wife, Carolyn, inherits most of the estate. She moves to California. She dies in 1952. His protégés continue what he started. Luciano builds a national crime syndicate. Lansky becomes the mob's chief financial officer. Costello takes over Tammany Hall. Lepke Buchhalter runs Murder, Inc. They all use Rothstein's methods. Shell companies, offshore accounts, legitimate fronts. They launder money the way he taught them. They structure deals the way he showed them. They treat crime like a business because he proved it could be done. Rothstein never served time in prison. He was never convicted of a major crime. He never carried a gun. He never killed anyone. But he financed those who did. He built the infrastructure. He created the system. He turned organized crime from a street operation into a corporate empire. In the decades after his death, federal investigators study Rothstein's financial records. They find over 50 shell companies, dozens of false identities, hundreds of transactions routed through legitimate businesses. The model is copied by criminal organizations across the country. The Italian Mafia, the Jewish mob, the Irish gangs. They all follow Rothstein's blueprint. Rothstein's influence reaches far beyond New York. In the 1930s, Meyer Lansky uses Rothstein's laundering techniques to move millions of dollars through casinos in Havana, Cuba. He opens accounts in Swiss banks. He invests in hotels, nightclubs, and resorts. He partners with Cuban dictator Fulgencio Batista. The operation runs for decades. The methods are Rothstein's. In Chicago, Al Capone studies Rothstein's model. Capone meets Rothstein in 1925 during a gambling trip to New York. They play poker. They talk business. Rothstein advises Capone to diversify, to move beyond bootlegging, to invest in legitimate enterprises. Capone listens. He buys laundromats, dry cleaners, and dog tracks. He runs his illegal profits through them. By 1929, Capone is worth over $100 million. He credits Rothstein with teaching him how to think big. In Kansas City, mob boss Johnny Lazia uses Rothstein's playbook to control the city's political machine. Lazia finances political campaigns. He bribes judges. He owns the police department. He runs gambling, prostitution, and bootlegging operations. He launders the money through construction companies and taxi services. Kansas City becomes one of the most corrupt cities in America. Lazia is shot and killed in 1934. His organization survives. In Detroit, the Purple Gang adopts Rothstein's methods. They run liquor across the Canadian border. They establish front companies. They bribe customs officials. They control the docks. By 1930, they are moving over $1 million in illegal alcohol each month. The money is laundered through car dealerships and real estate firms. The system works. Rothstein's gambling empire also endures. After his death, his casinos are taken over by Frank Costello and Meyer Lansky. They expand the operation. They open new locations in Saratoga Springs, Hot Springs, Arkansas, and Miami Beach. They pay off local sheriffs. They host high-stakes games for businessmen, politicians, and celebrities. The casinos operate openly for decades. No one is arrested. No one is shut down. Rothstein's heroin network continues under Lucky Luciano. In 1931, Luciano organizes the Commission, a governing body for Italian-American organized crime. The Commission includes representatives from the 5 families of New York, as well as bosses from Chicago, Detroit, and Philadelphia. The structure is based on Rothstein's business model. The Commission oversees drug trafficking, gambling, and labor racketeering. It settles disputes. It enforces rules. It operates like a board of directors. Luciano is arrested in 1936 and convicted of running a prostitution ring. He is sentenced to 30 to 50 years in prison. In 1946, he is released and deported to Italy. He continues to run heroin operations from abroad. The drugs are shipped to New York through Sicily. The network is controlled by the Commission. The methods are still Rothstein's. In the 1940s and 1950s, the Federal Bureau of Investigation begins investigating organized crime. Agents study financial records, wiretap phones, and interview informants. They trace money through shell companies and offshore accounts. They find the same patterns again and again, the same techniques, the same structures. The blueprint leads back to Arnold Rothstein. In 1951, the Kefauver Committee holds televised hearings on organized crime. Senators question mob bosses, gamblers, and corrupt politicians. Frank Costello testifies. Meyer Lansky refuses to appear. The hearings reveal the scale of organized crime in America. They reveal the financial systems, the laundering schemes, the political connections. Rothstein's name is mentioned repeatedly. He is called the father of modern organized crime. He is called the man who taught the mob how to think. In 1970, Congress passes the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, known as RICO. The law targets organized crime by allowing prosecutors to charge individuals for crimes committed as part of a criminal enterprise. RICO is designed to dismantle the structures Rothstein built, the shell companies, the front businesses, the financial networks. Over the next 5 decades, hundreds of mobsters are convicted under RICO. The law is effective, but the methods survive. In the 1980s and 1990s, drug cartels in Colombia and Mexico adopt Rothstein's laundering techniques. They establish front companies. They buy real estate. They open restaurants, car washes, and import-export businesses. They route money through banks in the Cayman Islands, Panama, and Switzerland. The scale is larger. The technology is more advanced, but the foundation is the same. In 2025, financial investigators still study Rothstein's methods. His techniques are taught in courses on financial crime. His name appears in textbooks on money laundering. His case is analyzed by law enforcement agencies around the world. He has been dead for nearly a century. His influence has not faded. Rothstein's grave in Union Field Cemetery is unmarked. The headstone was removed years ago. No flowers are left. No visitors come. The exact location of the plot is known only to cemetery records. The man who built an empire is buried in silence. His wife, Carolyn, never remarried. She lived alone in Los Angeles until her death in 1952. She never spoke publicly about her husband. She left no interviews, no memoirs, no letters. When she died, her estate was valued at less than $10,000. Most of Rothstein's fortune had been lost to debts, legal fees, and bad investments. His protégé became legends. Luciano, Lansky, Costello, Lepka. Their names are remembered, their stories are told. But Rothstein remains in the shadows. The man who made it all possible, The man who showed them how the Park Central Hotel still stands on 7th Avenue. Room 349 is now part of a different layout. The building has been renovated several times. No plaque marks the location. No memorial exists. Guests check in and out. They do not know what happened there. On November 4th, 1928, a man walked into a room and was shot. He refused to name his killer. He died 2 days later. The case was never solved. But the system he built lived on. It spread across the country. It crossed oceans. It changed the world. Within hours, the blood was washed away. But the blueprint remained.